Chefery students. Today we're going to make some Fettuccini Alfredo. We're going to actually make it the low-fat way. If you're not concerned about your fat content, you can make it high-fat if you'd like. High-fat would be using cream and eggs instead of just using milk. So I've already prepared my noodles. I filled the pan, and you just need a small pan because we don't have that many noodles. I put half the pan full of water, turned it on high, and let it boil. And then I took my fettuccine noodles, broke them in half, and put them into the boiling water. I set my timer for 12 minutes, and then the noodles were done. I knew that they were done because they were the same color all the way through. So if you cut one in half, or you can taste it to see. If you like it a little al dente, then you undercook it a little. If you like it softer, then you overcook it a little bit. Then I came over and I put it into my colander in the sink, and I did not rinse it. I just drained it, and I added a little bit of oil, and that keeps it from clumping up. So that is already done, and that is on my platter, ready to go. So you're going to want to do this right before, because now when my sauce is done, this is going to be cool. But I just wanted to save some time on our video and show you how to do that. So the next thing I'm going to do is make the sauce. Now, normally we would use a higher fat milk. We are using whole milk, which is 3.5% fat. And when you're using whole milk or skim milk or 2% milk, it's going to take longer than it would to use the high fat milk. So this is going to take a little bit longer time, which is fine. I have my 2 tablespoons of butter. I have all of my equipment out here ready to go. And then I have my 2 tablespoons of flour, which you need to measure everything. All of those little cups that are supplied to you, they are not measured out accurately. That is your job. So if I would have put all of this in, that would be about 3 tablespoons. And I only need 2 tablespoons. So it says melt your butter in your saucepan on low heat. Blend in the butter. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to use a whisk. This is excuse me, a black line pan, so I'm going to use a silicone whisk for this. And this is what you call making a roux, R-O-U-X. Anytime you want to thicken something, you want to make a sauce or gravy, you want to thicken soup, you're going to make a roux. And all a roux is flour and butter. And then that is your thickening agent. And then you add your milk. So flour and butter is the secret. And it's usually equal parts. So it's 2 tablespoons of butter to 2 tablespoons of flour. So that's an easy way to remember. Now I like garlic in mine. Maybe you don't like garlic in yours. I like whole garlic, but I gave you the dry powder, which we're going to use a half a teaspoon, and that's a lot. Now garlic powder, the problem with garlic powder is if you put too much in there, it gets very bitter. So you want to be careful not to add too much. If I was using regular garlic, I would probably use a tablespoon of regular garlic, because I really like it garlicky. So there's my garlic, and there's my flour. And I did add a little bit of salt to my water, although you don't have to add salt in oil to your water. You can. It's just for flavor. It doesn't really do anything to your pasta, except add a little bit of flavor. Okay, now it says a dash of salt, and we're going to use white pepper. And the reason we're using white pepper is because black pepper would leave specks in our sauce. So that's not very appealing. I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm going to stir in my milk. Like I said, this is whole milk. So the white pepper is used because it's not going to leave those black specks in our nice sauce. So you notice I'm stirring this constantly. If you don't, we're going to learn this week about properties of milk and dairy. Milk has lactose in it, which is sugar. And what happens is the milk solids will go to the bottom of the pan and scorch our sauce if you don't stir it constantly. And then if you heat it too high of a temperature, it's going to form a film on the top called scum. I don't know if you've ever had a pudding that has a little film on the top. It's similar to that film that's in the egg when you open it up and you have an old egg. It's similar to that. So we're going to just stir this constantly. It's going to take a few minutes because of our lower fat content. We're not adding eggs to this today. If you would go in the restaurant, Olive Garden or something, all of your fettuccine alfredos, we have eggs and high fat. So you got to be careful. This is just a nice way to reduce that fat content, and it still tastes really good. All right, so I put it back on the heat. I'm stirring constantly. I'm going to wait till this boils. Now you're going to get very impatient and say it's never going to boil, but it will. It will boil. You just have to be patient with it. And I have ready for me my Parmesan cheese, and I have my parsley, which is going to be my little garnish today. You can garnish with anything. You can cut up some vegetables and put in there. If you want, if you have a piece of chicken, you can cook that chicken breast, slice that up nicely, and put that on top for your presentation. This that we're making today is 2 servings. 2 servings. So if you eat the whole thing, you've eaten 2 servings of this. Starting to get hot. I can see it's steaming up. Still want to keep that on that burner. You notice my burner is very small, just like my pan. I don't have it on the large burner because then it's not going to have contact with the bottom of my pan. Now some people make the mistake of putting their Parmesan cheese in before it gets thick, and what happens, remember this word, coagulates. It gets all sticky and it looks really weird. It has a very funny texture. So our cheese has a lot of sugar in it too, so we want to be careful not to get that too high of a heat. So that's why we wait till this boils, and then we take it off the heat. Then we add our Parmesan cheese to it. It's thickening up now. I can see, I can feel it. That butter and flour is working. Anytime you want to thicken something, that's what you're going to do. The butter-flour mixture, that roux mixture. Now if I wanted to make this a rosé sauce, which I could add a little bit of tomato sauce to this at the end, if you like that flavor. It would just be regular tomato sauce. Or you could use some tomato paste, but very little because that's very strong. Or pizza sauce, or whatever you have. You could even add salsa to this if you like the chunkier consistency. Okay, so this is getting nice and thick. Now it says on there, let it boil. So boil means that the bubbles are coming to the surface. But even though we're letting it boil for that 1 minute, we still have to stir it. Otherwise our milk solids are going to go to the bottom and it's going to scorch the bottom of our pan. it's doing a nice rolling boil. I'm getting a little steam bath this morning. It's 6:30 in the morning, but you're worth it. All right, so I'm gonna take that off the heat. Remember to take it off the heat, that's the crucial part. And then I'm gonna stir in my Parmesan cheese, which I've already measured out. And I'm gonna mix that up. I'm gonna bring my noodles over. So I did put a little bit of oil on those noodles so they wouldn't stick together. And then I'm gonna just pour my sauce over top. Make a nice presentation. So if you put your noodles on the plate first, you can pour your sauce on top, and then you don't have such a messy plate. And then I'm just gonna take my parsley and do a little garnish with my parsley. This doesn't add much flavor, but it does make it look pretty. And there's my finished product. I hope you guys like it, and you'll try it again.